Obviously, today's song, we know Dave drummed on that, and hopefully we will see a new sound, and it would be interesting to see whether that does involve any input from Ilan, because I do think he could bring a new dynamic.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Foos Files. Hope you're having a great week. And it looks like we finally know the identity of the new drummer. Ilan Rubin, previously of Nine Inch Nails, Angels and Airwaves and Paramore among others, is going to be the drummer for the Foo Fighters, so it seems. And the news came out last Thursday, which is quite funny because, as some of you like me watch a lot of baseball will know, it was actually the Major League Baseball trade deadline last Thursday, which is effectively the last day of the season where teams can trade or swap players. The irony being, of course, that we had a bit of a drummer trade with Ilan leaving Nine Inch Nails to join Foo Fighters, and then Nine Inch Nails announcing that they're bringing back Josh Freese to play for the rest of their tour. But anyway, to bring people fully up to speed with this development, if you're not aware already, the Foo Fighters haven't yet themselves said anything officially, which they probably won't until Showtime in October, to be honest with you. But it was The Hollywood Reporter, which is a pretty reputable source, who ran the story that it's going to be Ilan. And it was then followed up by pretty much every other major music news outlet, which again is usually a sign that it's not just speculation, this is solid information. There's no indication of how permanent the arrangement will be, whether he'll be a live touring drummer or whether he'll be playing on future Foo Fighters records as well. Interestingly, the article did say that Ilan had committed to Nine Inch Nails for this year. They're midway through a tour at the moment. They've been around Europe and they've had a few weeks off before resuming in North America this month. But then apparently he notified Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails last month that he'd accepted a job with another band, which we now believe is the Foo Fighters. So that probably explains why Josh has been drafted in by Nine Inch Nails for their tour as it resumes this month, because he knows the songs and he can slot in quickly and seamlessly. But what about the new man behind the kit for Foo Fighters then? Well, I must admit, I didn't know loads about Ilan until this news broke, and I started digging into his career, but the more you read about him, and also watch some of the footage that is out there, he looks potentially a really exciting addition to the Foo Fighters lineup. He's just turned 37 years old in July, but while he's quite a bit younger than the rest of the Foos, he's got some miles on the clock in terms of his career. He's no less experienced. If you look through his CV, as we mentioned, Nine Inch Nails, Angels and Airwaves, Paramore, Beck, Frank Turner. He's been out playing with St Vincent recently too, and he's also done some film scores. Like Dave Grohl, he's very much a disciple of John Bonham, which will go down well. And he's also a multi-instrumentalist. He writes and records his own material under the name The New Regime. And a few other fun facts too. In terms of kind of the 6 degrees of separation between him and the Foos, he took drum lessons with Travis Barker when he was younger, which is pretty cool. And Ilan also has a couple of records to his name too. He played at Woodstock 99 on the Emerging Artists stage with his band FON, at the age of just 11, which makes him the youngest person ever to play Woodstock. I mean, if you've seen the Woodstock 99 film on Netflix, if the reality of that is half as bad as the documentary made, that must have been a pretty scary place to be for an 11-year-old. But anyway, the other distinction he holds, which has been well documented, is that he's the youngest living inductee in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame from when Nine Inch Nails were inducted in 2020. Whose record did he take? A little-known artist by the name of Stevie Wonder.
So, as to whatever being in a Hall of Fame means, thank you for the recognition. With that said, this has been far from a singular endeavor, and I first want to introduce my fellow inductees. Atticus Ross, Robin Fink, Alessandro Cortini, Ilan Rubin, Danny Lohner, and Chris Vrenna. I love these guys, and they've all been an integral and essential part of why we're here.
And one more thing to add is he brought out a book, Start Somewhere to Go Somewhere, which is an educational book to help drummers develop their playing style. And if you want to see some essential Ilan Rubin viewing, there's a great video on YouTube from the Guitar Centre going back to 2011 of him playing this absolute whopper of a drum solo. So I'll drop the audio of that in here shortly. But if you want the full experience really to do it justice, yeah, you need to go on YouTube and watch that video because it's tremendous. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about Ilan, other than, like everyone else, I'm excited to see what the upcoming dates in Asia bring with him behind the kit, and then the plans beyond that. But what I wanted to do this week is to canvass the opinions of people who really know their onions about this topic. So first we've got Jim Freeman from the tribute band Foo Fighters GB, and then Steve Skerrit. Some of you might know him as Skez from the Foos Discord group. He's a big Foos and Nine Inch Nails fan, and he's followed Ilan's career closely, so he's given us quite a comprehensive take on what he's all about and what we can expect from him in the Foo Fighters.
Hi, it's Jim. I'm Rami from Foo Fighters GB. So I've had a look at the drummer. I'm very well aware of Nine Inch Nails as a band. He seems like he's got some really, really complex technical chops. My gut feeling is his drumming style fits a lot more into Dave Grohl's kind of punk rock drumming. I think, personally, the reason why Josh may have been outed from the band is the fact that he's too clinical. He's an incredible drummer, but Dave has always been and always mentioned the fact he likes groove drummers, especially with John Bonham being his favourite drummer. So I think Ilan Rubin will really fit in with the band. It'll be interesting to see how his chops fit behind the Foo Fighters stuff, but I'm certainly excited to see how things develop.
So I've been asked to talk about Ilan Rubin joining with the Foo Fighters, as we all know. If you've read any of the music press over the last few days, it's all but confirmed by the band that he will be sitting in on the drums, whether that is purely as a live fixture or if he will be taking over in the studio as well. I'm quite a big fan of Nine Inch Nails, so I'm very familiar with him. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Ilan Rubin is a phenomenal drummer. He is in fact the youngest member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as he was inducted with Nine Inch Nails. And he took over the role as drummer in Nine Inch Nails when Josh Freese actually stepped down to spend more time with family. And now, obviously, the roles have been reversed. He is stepping down and Josh Freese is get taken back over behind his drum kit once again. I mean, for the last few years, obviously, there was an extended period where Nine Inch Nails this is, did retire. They weren't going to do live performance, and they have been relatively inactive, as Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross have mainly been working in Hollywood doing scoring, but that hasn't stopped Ilan. He's been putting out music, collaborating, and I will just say, if you've never seen Nine Inch Nails, you are missing out. He will be missed, but there's no doubt about it. Josh is going to be great. He was fire when he was in the band before, and that's not going to change now. But what you might not know is that Ilan Rubin is a multi-instrumentalist. During multiple tours, not necessarily on this run, unless they've done it in other shows. I only went to the one on this last European run. He has stepped from behind the kit and played guitar and bass during their live shows. And he really is great at all those instruments as well. Now, he's done a bit of a Dave Grohl on his solo projects, which are called The New Regime. Great albums. He, like I say, he plays all the instruments on them, and he's got a real sort of eclectic sound. It's maybe more similar to a Nine Inch Nails sound than it is currently what Foo Fighters. But you might not know this. He has drummed for many bands. He's stepped in and been the drummer for Paramore after they lost their original drummer and guitar player. The Farrow brothers left the band, and obviously Zach Farrow has come back since, but the two of them left and they found themselves needing a drummer. So he was called in and he did the sessions for that album. Now, some people love that album. Some people think that was when they went pop. Personally, I think it's a great album. The drums on that album sound amazing. And it shows that he can sort of do... I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it overly poppy, but poppier stuff than Nine Inch Nails. And then there might be some of you who think, I don't like Paramore, I'm not into Nine Inch Nails, can you give me any other hints and stuff to check out? If you are familiar with Tom DeLonge and Angels and Airwaves, you should check out everything that comes from the Dreamwalker album. So onwards, he clearly takes a big part within the sort of sound of the band because they change dramatically after that. Nothing against Atom Willard, who was their drummer for the first few albums, but when Ilan Rubin came in, I would say that's when they became a band worth listening to. Because you can tell something's changed. It's not just the drums that change it, it's sonically different, and I definitely feel like it's partly Ilan's influence. And then if you're a British fella like myself, you might want to check out FTHC by Frank Turner. Again, Frank Turner found himself separating from his long-term drummer, Nigel. He needed a drummer and he needed it fast. And Ilan Rubin was called in. And again, some phenomenal drumming. So if you want to get a good sort of varied sound from what you can expect from him, they're all worth checking out. With regards to his style, you can tell very much that he is a student of Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl drummed on with Teeth for Nine Inch Nails, and he's drummed on a few other stuff for them over the last few years, just the odd track here and there. But Ilan Rubin has obviously been out on tour with them, so he's got used to playing the parts that Dave recorded live. His style is very similar to Dave's, which is, I think, is leading credence to some people speculating that he will be purely live and Dave will just still remain the drummer in studio. Now, if that's a deal they've made, that's fine. I mean, we all know that William didn't like that deal and he took his ball and went home. We know for a few years that Dave and Taylor certainly had a dynamic where I think Taylor didn't have as much say in it. Dave came in with a demo and Taylor pretty much recorded his version of that. But in later albums, you can definitely hear, if you're familiar with Coattail Riders and his other solo projects, that his distinct sound snuck in a bit more. And I could see Ilan doing that. He's definitely got something to offer, and I would like to see it in the studio, ideally. Whether, again, he comes in and he just does the live shows, then that's fine. I don't think anyone will complain. But I mean, I have no doubts that he's got the skills to play exactly what he's playing. His drum solos are interesting when he's played them. I don't think you'll be bored with them. It would be interesting to see whether he can help bring them into a new era, because obviously Dave has teased that they're going to go in a different direction that Josh wasn't ideal for. And if that is the case, what that direction will be. Obviously today's song, we know Dave drummed on that, and hopefully we will see a new sound, and it would be interesting to see whether that does involve any input from Ilan, because I do think he could bring a new dynamic. I love Foo Fighters. They are one of my favourite bands. They're probably the first band I fell in love with. And I will say that Dave Grohl, for the longest time, has teased, like, In Your Honour, this is our heaviest album. And then here's the soft side. FFL, if you know it, should have been on the album. Spill should have been on the album. I think A&R people got in his ear and said, no, you need to go softer, because that rock disc on In Your Honour it's not a bad disc. But if we could get sort of an FFL and a Spill sounding type songs into the next release, that would be interesting. I think them playing to their heaviest album, I'm not saying come out there and do a black metal album or anything like that. I think going in that direction would be interesting. And yeah, I think Ilan Rubin could be the guy to usher in this new sound and sort of elevate them live. And I am excited to see whether it's just for the live shows or if he gets a chance to tear it up in the studio. So I say welcome aboard.
So that's the lowdown then on Ilan Rubin, to whet your appetite for the next chapter in the career of the Foo Fighters. He certainly sounds like an exciting addition, and it's full steam ahead now for the live comeback in 2 months' time. Thanks to Jim and to Skez for their contributions, and as always, thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please do leave us a rating and review on your favourite podcast app. It really is appreciated. Until next time, have a great week.